WBA interim heavyweight champion Luis Ortiz has apparently tested positive for steroids. I don't know how this is going to affect his status as interim champion. He'll probably be stripped and he'll probably have his first round KO or TKO over Luis Ortiz changed to a no decision or a no contest or something like that. But the WBA have yet to speak out on it. They've yet to give their final judgment or their final verdict. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on that. But as reported in boxingscene.com, I'll leave a link to the article in the description below. He has tested positive for steroids, apparently. Now, there are medications which people can take which may give a positive result in a steroid test. For example, asthma medication, various types of inhalers contain steroids. And if you were taking those, you could test positive for steroids. And there are several other things as well. So we have to keep our minds open to that possibility. But at the same time, we have to admit the most likely thing is this guy just took performance enhancing drugs, regular steroids. Now, the thing is Ortiz is not exactly a body beautiful type guy. He's no Mr. Universe. But in that fight against Latif Kayode, he came in a lot more trim than usual. I noticed that. If you look at most of Ortiz's fights prior to that, he looked a bit softer around the waist. He came in a bit heavier. But against Latif Kayode, he was probably the most trim I've seen him as a professional. And at the age that he is, I believe he's 35 or 36 years old, to be coming in at the most trim of your career when you're that age, you ask questions. It doesn't necessarily mean you're automatically on something, but you ask questions because it's more difficult to come in trim when you're that age than it is when you're 25, than it is when you're 30, because as you get older, your metabolism slows down. Whenever I'm looking for signs that someone could be on something, I look for a change in the person's physique and the person's performances. All right. A lot of people will just see a guy with a ripped physique like Anthony Joshua or Tim Bradley and say steroids. But I wouldn't, because I know for a fact that you can get that kind of physique naturally, that some people just have the genetics to be able to get like that naturally. OK, not everyone can get like that naturally, but you know, some people have the genetics and they can just get like that naturally. Okay, so that's not necessarily an indication that somebody's on something, but a change in their physique, especially at an advanced age. You know, for an example I've used before is Marquez. A dramatic change in their physique and their, you know, punching ability and what have you, their performance at an advanced age. That's when you have to ask questions. You know, that's when I start asking questions. When I see a change, a dramatic change in their performance or a dramatic change in their physique, I start asking questions. So, yeah, it seems that Ortiz has tested positive. So we'll see where this goes. We'll see what happens. And like I've said many times previously, this kind of thing is rampant in the sport of boxing. It's rampant in sport in general. But I would say it's even more rampant in boxing than many other sports. I mean, we know in track, for example, in athletics, there's a hell of a lot of it going on. But I think it's even more rampant in boxing because boxing doesn't have these, you know, overarching regulatory bodies that they have in track and field, in the Olympics and just general international athletics. They don't have these regulatory bodies that govern the whole sport in boxing. They don't have it. And because of that, because they don't have it, because there's so much money involved, so many different promoters, so many different fighters in so many different countries, it's bound to be more common in boxing. You know, that's just the way I see it. So I'm not at all surprised. I'm disappointed, obviously, because I was looking forward to seeing Luis Ortiz get in the mix in the heavyweight division, looking forward to see him against Chigaev, and that fight might not happen now. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. But drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel about this. This is Hatman. I'm out.